Right, today I'm looking to fix up the carby on this 375 Sprint Briggs & Stratton engine. Now, some of it seems fine. The air filter obviously needs to be changed because it's super oily and contaminated. Primer button feels okay, it's definitely working. Let's see if I can get it to show. Well, there you go, nothing at the moment, but anyway, moving on. Worst thing at the moment though is these springs. Oh, you can see they're stretched out, busted. It is working, it's probably pulling a lot more tension than necessary, and the other one here isn't even attached correctly. So what we have in the kit here is, for some reason, 2 new air filter sponges, a plug. Pretty sure the plug on here is pretty fine anyway. It's a much better brand than whatever this is, but we'll see how we go. New primer button, gaskets and springs. So the springs, of course, replace these 2 here, which are well and truly past it, and the 2 gaskets here go between fuel tank and the carby sort of mechanism itself up the top here. Actually, the first thing we'll do is change the air filter here. So as you can see, the air filter box just unbolts out of the top here. There's a screw in the bottom of the carby. Anyway, so undo this, take that out. It's just the lid for it. Now there's just a little gadget there to sort of keep the space open inside the filter. Now what we can see is it's, what do you call that, the hole's off center there, so let's just get this dirty little thing out. Very nice. I'll give that a little wipe down first, and then we just pop it back together. So that fits in there, of course, quite simple, and that goes in there, and the lid on top, and the bolt. So I'll clean that up and put it back together. As you can see, that's nice back together there. It's the grubby old one. Now we need to fit these items. So gasket is the first to go on, but whilst we have the top of the carby off, we're gonna sort of replace this, and then once the gaskets are on and we've replaced this, then we can put the springs on. Now I'm finding it a little bit trickier than I recall to get this off, so to assist in that, we're going to take off the fuel tank as this is attached to it anyway. So we've got a 13mm here and probably a 10 there. So I've already loosened those up, so I'll just get those out. And this one too, and we will take this off. So let me just get this last one right here. Now the reason it's sort of finding it hard to come off is this section just here attaches to a pipe there, of course, to feed into the engine. So that stops this from being able to be lifted off, because underneath here is like a sort of a feeder tube that goes to the bottom. So it sort of doesn't need to come off, and then the carby can come out. So a long bolt from memory here. Yep, so try and make sure you put everything nice and orderly so you know where things do go. And there's a little rubber tube from here to here, which is this piece, so keep track of everything, try not to lose it. Now with this off, this should be fully detached, other than the little clip in here. That's like a little tiny S-bend, so as you lift this, you give it a little bit of a twist and it just sort of falls out the bottom. So let's give that a go. Trying to remember that I've actually already loosened the carby, so I might put this down and join you back in a moment. Okay, fuel tank and carby are off the side. Give everything a bit of a wipe as you take things off, and again, keep things orderly so you know where things go when you put them back. So we do have fuel here, so I'm just being a little bit cautious here. Now, looking at it, here, let's turn it around to be able to see that butterfly valve possibly. So, as you're pulling on the levers and whatnot, this is opening up, giving it more throttle or less. So that's what controls the engine speed. So attached to this were the springs and levers and things. You can see how that easily works there. And lifting this, you'll see the gaskets there, which we have new to replace. And also on the back, the primer bulb, which will probably be a little bit awkward to get out. So I'll get on to taking those old pieces off and back in a moment. Okay, you can see the state of the old gasket here, specifically around here. It's not looking the best. Now, as you can see, there's a bolt hole here and one here, but there's nothing along here. So I think from what I've read, these cannot seal, or as they age, the seal there can be a little bit crappy. So you just gotta make sure you place it down the right way up. Hopefully this is the right way up. And you can see surfaces should be nice and clean. I won't take that back off. And we have replaced the primer bulb. Just giving everything a little toothbrush wipe down, making sure you don't lose anything from inside here. Otherwise, you're going to be in a bit of a pickle trying to get it working again. So we'll pop this back in and put it back together, and hopefully we'll be able to figure out the springs and everything will be lovely. So I'll come back in a moment once I've put that back together. So I have this re-bolted down, not pinching these up too much. And the first bolt with the secondary sort of hook for here in place. Just got to offer this up, noting that this goes there. This has the little rubber tube that joins there, so make sure it's only going to go on one way. You can't get it wrong. Well, we'll find that out in a minute anyway. Let's offer that up. And again, I've wiped everything down a little bit as I've been going. Now it needs to go on a bit further. Oops, I've got that on the wrong way around. Of course I have. So I've just switched this around. This should be on the other side of that, filling up the space. Right, back in a moment. Right, time for the springs. This is now attached. So we need to attach a spring to this and to this. So as you put on the lever, it applies tension to this mechanism here. So that's the long spring, I'm assuming, and one end goes here and the other to there. That looks like the way that's going to give it the most clearance to clear the parts that are on here. So I'll come back in a moment once that's attached. Right, springs are attached. Now, if I can sort of show how this will work, you pull on the lever to get more throttle, and you can see that this spring here is having tension applied to it. But as the engine's spinning, this is also sort of wanting to move away here, so that's where the tension on the springs comes into play. That's a terrible explanation, but that's all I've got at the moment. So we'll fit the air filter and check I've fitted actually everything, which looks like it, and we'll give it a crank, see what happens. I'm going to see if I can just check that the priming bulb is working here. So I've topped up the fuel tank, and we should see as I push this, the fuel sort of jetted in towards the front of the mechanism this way. So let's see that. There you go, you see that? So once 3 of those, so I've done it before, so that should be primed with enough fuel to get the engine to actually kick over. And then it's relying on the spring tension here and these sort of mechanisms to keep it idling and running. And then obviously the tension on the lever that you pull up at the handles to increase the revs. So we'll put the air filter on now and then we'll give it a crank. Now I did get it running, which was good news. Took about 5 pulls of the cord and a couple more plunges on the primer. but it was incredibly smoky. Now, it has been on its side once or twice while I've been tinkering with it previously, so there's a possibility that this has got some oil or fuel on it, or it's just clogged up with sludge and crap over the years. You can sort of see it all coming out there. So I'm going to try and take this off, and I'll give it a run without it and see if it's any less smoky.